express my gratitude to Nicolas Fascinon, the director of the Alliance Française, for his kind invitation, to Moïdri, who organized this event, and to Fabien Chartier, who have accepted to exchange with me on this work on Tagore. And so thank you also the Alliance Française du Bengale for their warm welcome and support of my stay here in Kolkata. And thank you. So my thesis focus on the work of the French artist Andrée Karpelès and pivotal role in fostering Indo-French cultural and artistic exchanges in the early 20th century. Karpelès not only collaborated closely with Rabindranath and Rabindranath Tagore, but also played a significant role in introducing the Bengale School of Art in France. Through her translation, illustration, and paintings, she created bridges between Indian and French art, literature, and culture. So I am here in India doing field research. I was in Pondicherry, and then Kolkata and Chantier, where Andrée Karpelès stayed over 100 years ago. So today, for this presentation, I will focus on the collaborative work between Karpelès and the Bengale School, and our links with the Tagore family, even though my doctoral research studies her entire career and artistic production. So my research is rooted in the study of cultural and artistic transfers involving movement of object, people, population, world, ideas, concept between two cultural spaces. The artists I study here are key actors and mediators of these transfers, and they act as bridges sharing their knowledge and heritage through exhibition, education, and teaching. These mediators then are the intermediary figures, transmitter of knowledge and heritage within this cultural space, within these cultural transfers. So Andrée Karpelès embodies the concept of the mediating artist through her multifaceted roles as a painter, engraver, publisher, translator, teacher, and curator. And so it is through these diverse activities that she places herself and her work at the heart of the artistic and cultural dialogue between France and India. So Andrée Karpelès, whose self-portrait you can see here on the screen, was born in Paris in 1885. So she was the daughter of Jules Karpelès, an indigo trader in Bengale, a French foreign trade advisor, and the Calcutta Chamber of the Commerce member. So her sister, Suzanne Karpelès, was the first woman to join the École Française d'Extrême-Orient in Paris. And the Karpelès sister grew up in a family of intellectual and high-ranking officials between Paris and Calcutta, then the capital of the British Raj. So she was trained in European academic art in the studios of painters Lucien Simon and René Ménard at the Académie Julian in Paris. And her early works show the influence of the symbolist movement and a clear connection with the figures of Puy de Chavannes and Whistler. So here you can see the Symphony in White she painted in 1908, who is directly inspired by the Symphony of Whistler. So from 1907, Karpelès exhibited her work at the Salon National des Beaux-Arts, the Salon d'Automne, the Salon des Indépendants. And early on, she integrated Orientalist elements into her composition producing canvases that conveyed Western, sometimes a Western perspective on India, and often depicting scenes of intimate daily life. So here you can see an example with this work. It's on the terrace, India, and it's currently preserved in the collection of the Musée du Quai Branly in Paris. The colors she used and the scene she represents, she was often compared in the art by the art critics compared to Paul Gauguin. So over time she shifted away from early Orientalist composition to undertake a more scholarly study of Indian motifs. So for instance, here, the Legend of Nala and Damayanti, that was published in 1920. So you can see that was published by the Bossart publishing house. So you can see here the elongated figures she depicts here on the woodcut. Demonstrate an assimilation and a reinterpretation of Indian classical iconographic motifs. In the book, she even reused and copies composition from the Ajanta frescoes and murals reproduced by the painter Mandal Albos. So here you can see an example, and the position and the composition is the same. And here there is also another example by the painter Dorothy Archer. So she reproduced these figures with the same. And those reproductions of the Ajanta fresco were published in the book, in the Christiana Ellingham book, the Ajanta fresco that was published in 1915. And this publication was the result from the exhibition to the Ajanta caves that was organized by the British artist Ellingham in collaboration with the Indian Society of Oriental Arts and some painter of the Bengale school. And you can see here in her other illustrated work, Karpelès even copied composition that were edited by French Indianists. So you can see an example of this book, the Question of Milinda, published in 1923, where she incorporated into her composition, so this is her composition, several elements from bas-relief of the Gandhara, reproduced by French Indianist Alfred Fouché in his book on Gandhara art. So here you can see this one is actually in the Indian Museum of Kolkata, if you want to see it. So it's like a puzzle. Our woodcuts are like a puzzle. Actually, Andrée Karpelès gained access to academic knowledge also through her sister Suzanne Karpelès, who introduced her to the Parisian Indianist academic circle through her studies at the École Française de l'Extrême-Orient. And so her father's business activities also provided her with the tools to develop a sensitivity to Indian art, which later helped her to establish a dialogue with the Indian artists she met throughout her travels. So we must also recognize the colonial environment in which she grew up and how it shaped some of her works. She and her family primarily formed connection with the capital literate Indian aristocracy, including the Tagore family. And in 1913, she met the painter Rabindranath Tagore, in Calcutta, beginning a long collaboration with him. And 1 year later, this partnership led to the first exhibition of the Bengale School artists in France at the 22nd exhibition of French Orientalist painter in 1914. So, I'm sure you all know the Bengale School, but I'm going to make a brief introduction. So, the Bengale School was led by Rabindranath Tagore and was found around the common idea of building a distinctly Indian artistic modernity. It was closely linked to the Swadeshi movement for India's independence and opposed opposed to English colonial rule. So the school focused on preserving and promoting India's artistic tradition as a form of resistance to British policy. And at the time, government art school established by the British Raj taught Western academic painting styles, which the Bengale school rejected. So here, for example, a caricature of Rabindranath Tagore named University Machine that criticized the standardization of students after leaving university. So during his study, Rabindranath Tagore witnessed the reform of the Government School of Art academic program introduced by English professor Ernest Binfield Evel. And this reform prioritized the teaching of Indian art and art history over Western history, which was the contrary before the reform. So this shift allowed Indian students to move away from the European artistic canons that had previously dominated their education. And in this environment, Rabindranath Tagore developed a unique pictorial style that blended this diverse influence, both Asian and Western, forming the fundamental elements of the Bengale school painting. So, Rabindranath Tagore gathered around him a circle of artists at the Tagore, the Tagore family house in Kolkata, which became a hub for both aesthetic and ideological resistance. So under his initiatives, the Vichitra Studio was founded as a club for discussion, artistic creation, centered around a workshop and a collection of traditional Bengali arts and crafts. So painting classes were taught by the school's artists, and several evening events gathers art lovers along with artistic and political figures from India and abroad, including Andrée Karpelès and her sister Susan. So an entire international community of artists and scholars developed around the Bengale School and the Tagore emerged. The Tagore emerged as one of the Calcutta most vibrant cultural centers, a point of intersection of cultural transfer between France, Europe, and India. And here, in this caricature done by Nandalal Rose, you can see the group most eminent artists. So Rabindranath Tagore and Rabindranath Tagore, Nandalal Rose, and Ananda Kumaraswamy, here, art historian, and Rabindranath Tagore, here. So they are represented at the Vichitra Studio. With all their art collection. It's a really beautiful so at Tagore, Andrée Karpelès witnessed Rabindranath Tagore's creative process, and she received his teaching. And in 1930, she painted his portrait in one of the villa's room. So you can see it. on the screen. And in this depiction, the painter is shown in his interior, surrounded by his personal belongings and art objects, creating an intimate setting that also served as a reception area. So Karpelès undertook meticulous copying work, showing the portraits of Soubhamini Tagore, the artist's mother, and as well as the portrait of a young woman here on a lotus sleeve that was painted in 1912, and that you can see also at the Indian Museum. So yes, she reproduced them in the painting here and here. So even if in her paintings she copied and she reproduced Indian art as she was doing and she will be doing because it's in her engraving works. Engraving. Through this portrait, Karpelès presents not only an idealized figure of a master, but also she captured the essence of the Tagore at the cultural center. So the painting reflects this meeting point, a major space for exchange between modern India and European and French modernity. The work is not only a tribute to the painter, but also a visual record of the artistic dialogue between the Karpelès and Tagore. So this portrait was exhibited in Paris in 1914 at the 22nd exhibition of French Orientalist painters. So during her stay in Calcutta, Karpelès published an article in the French review Art et Décoration, entitled Renaissance de l'art hindou, so translated by Renaissance of Indo art. In this article, she reviewed the states of artistic modernity in Bengale, alongside the reproduction of artwork of the Bengale school painters. So here you can see the reproduction of the portrait by Rabindranath Tagore. That will be that will be shown to the French public one year later in Paris. So in her article, she emphasized the nationalist aspiration of this artist, comparing their efforts to break free from academism to the one of the impressionist painters and European avant-garde artists. And she, at the end of the article, she publicly expressed the desire to see the Bengale School exhibited in France. So it was in 1914 at the 22nd exhibition of French Orientalist painter that opened in Paris at the Grand Palais. And the Parisian public was introduced to the work of the Bengale school artist. So, in collaboration with the Indian Society of Oriental Art, Andrée Karpelès organized the transport of over 200 works from India to France, cataloged them, and at the trained, acting as a mediator between the Indian artist and the event organizer. So you can see some examples that where the Parisian public could have seen in this exhibition. And okay. So yes, this French exhibition. This is the catalog of the exhibition. The French exhibition featured a special section that was dedicated dedicated to the Bengal school artists, such as Rabindranath Tagore and Rabindranath Tagore, non-Alabos, as well as their student and member of the Chitra studio, and artists as Mukulde, Surendra Natkar, and Azit Kumar Aldar. Actually, there's no. I should have. Sorry. And some of the work that were exposed, exhibited, drew inspiration from Mughal and Pahari paintings, depicting religious and historical Indian themes, while modern subjects are rare. And this may reflect, I don't know, but I think this may reflect deliberate efforts of the school to present painting rooted in Indian tradition to a Western audience that was familiar with classical Indian art, and also warmly received by French critics. The public did not. Yes, the political aspiration of the group are often misunderstood, so their visibility was kept relatively confidential in the French scene. And 6 years later, the Bengal school reappeared on the French scene, this time through literature, and the Bossart Publishing House edited 3 theoretical texts by Rabindranath Tagore, translated from English by Andrée Karpelès. So there's L'Alpona ou les décorations rituelles du Bengale, that was published on 1921, and that's one of the first academic study of the Alpona, the ritual decoration that was translated in English by Fabien, and it was the translation, the English translation was done especially for the French publication. Here you can see Art et anatomie hindoue and Sadanga, ou les 6 canons de la peinture hindoue, qui published in 1921 and 1922. So these 2 last texts stand out as unofficial manifestos of the Bengal school, laying its aesthetic and formal foundation. So through translation, Karpelès played an important role promoting the school ideas and serving as a sole voice in the French publishing landscape. So here you can see some example of the illustration. The Alpona's illustration that was done by Rabindranath Tagore. Here on Art and Anatomy, you can see illustration done by Nambal Albos and Venkatappa. You can see that the representation of the human body is constructed by natural elements, plants and animals. So that was also the formal and aesthetic foundation of the Bengal school. And here in Sadanga, you can see reproduction of painting of Rabindranath Tagore, young girl at her toilet, and here the portraits that I was showing you just before, which were exhibited in the Paris exhibition of 1914. And the reproduction are done by Karpelès. So 2 years later, Karpelès and her husband, Karl Adalbert Hogman, founded her own publishing house, the Chitra Publishing House, that was dedicated to Indian literature. And their inaugural book, L'Inde et son âme, écrit des grands penseurs de l'Inde contemporaine, translated as India and its Soul, writings by the great thinker of contemporary India. India, that was published in 1928. This book features around 30 authors, including Rabindranath and Rabindranath Tagore, and it aimed to provide a comprehensive overview of contemporary India. So the publishing house later concentrated primarily on works by Tagore. And so by promoting their ideas, exhibiting their works, and translating their texts, Andrée Karpelès became a key mediator of these artists on the French artistic and literary scene. And in fact, in May 1930, Andrée Karpelès organized helped Rabindranath Tagore to organize his visit in Paris for the exhibition, for his exhibition held at the Galerie Bengale. This was the first exhibition of his works organized by Argentine writer Victoria Ocampo, with the assistance of the muséologist Georges-Henri Rivière, and under the patronage of the French Association of the Friends of the Orient. And Andrée Karpelès and Karl Hoffmann played a key role in organizing Tagore's stay, visiting him daily to provide the ink he needed for his composition, and invited him to their home in Boulogne-sur-Seine. So this exhibition was a success, and glowing reviews appeared in the press. And the night opening, Andrée Karpelès described in a letter, she described to Rabindranath Tagore, the son of Tagore, she described the public enthusiasm, saying the word prophet was on everyone's lips. So here you can see a photography of the exhibition, and this is the catalogue. So in the early 1900s, the French artistic and literary scene began engaging with contemporary India, notably through Rabindranath Tagore nomination for the 1930 Literature Nobel Prize for Gitanjali. And in 1920, Tagore visited Paris for the first time, staying at Albert Kahn House in Boulogne-sur-Seine. So here you can see here in the gardens of Albert Kahn, and actually there's a beautiful museum now in Paris with the gardens, and those photographs are easily accessible on the database of the museum. So it's a really good, really rich database. So if you want to see beautiful pictures, you can. So yes. So his visit was the visit of Rabindranath Tagore in Paris was organized by the French Association of Oriental Friends at the request of the French government, and so this association was linked with the Musée Guimet, an Oriental museum in Paris. And Suzanne Karpelès took the role of his secretary during his stay. And so here, to take my breath, I'm going to show you a little video of Tagore and his family in the Albert Kahn Gardens in Paris, found on the database.
Any date of recording?
I'm sorry?
Date of recording?
In 1920. Yes, I don't have the date.
1920?
Yes, 1920. Yes, during the first.
So there should be mention of the
I'm sorry?
mention of the date or year should be mentioned. Everything is mentioned year-wise.
Yes, I forgot. I had a problem with the diapositive just before clicking the. Sorry, but.
Thank you.
So we can get these photographs in Albert Khan's database, right?
Yes, it's on the database.
Of Albert Khan?
Yes. So, so during his stay, Andrée Karpelès visited him often and painted his portrait, which was so here the portrait, which was displayed at the Salon d'Automne that same year. So here you can see it in black and white with the pencil study, just here. And in fact, she later offered it to offered the painting to Tagore when she went to Chantilly-Niketan. So it is now preserved in the Rabindranath Museum archives. So in return, Tagore dictated to her and her sister tales and stories which she later translated from English into French and later published in 1946 in the Chitra Publishing House. So there was a real exchange between the two personalities. Karpelès became a close friend to his son Rabindranath and his wife Pratima Devi, introducing them to the French art scene. So during this visit, Rabindranath Tagore distributed his call for an international university, announcing the creation of the Vishwabharati in Chantilly-Niketan. And he even envisioned it as an exchange and meeting place for international teachers and students. And so this university reflected the aspiration of the Bengale school and its painters taught in the fine arts and crafts department, the Calabavana. So it's a really brief introduction. So much time. So in 1922, Karpelès stayed at the university as a guest teacher from December to March, April 1923. And she met with the artists of the Bengale school and she was teaching alongside them. So here you can see a photo of her with the students and teachers like Rabindranath Tagore. And yes, a painting she painted during her stay. So there's also this painting. So she painted in Chantilly-Niketan, and this painting is preserved at the Rabindranath and so this is the portrait of Rabindranath Tagore walking in profile. His hand, behind his back, and this is you can't see it very well because it's really old and there's a lot of the colors of the deserted plain are really vividly I don't know. So this painting is reminiscent of the symbolist figures, particularly those of Puvis Chavannes, an artist to whom Andrée Karpelès is stylistically attached.
This painting doesn't have the dramatic color of oil. It's more like pastel work.
Yes. Maybe. I think it's
in my eyes.
Yes. So at the Calabavana, she taught modern European painting oil and printmaking techniques alongside and she was a big influence, for example, to Rabindranath and Manindra Bhushan Gupta, because she was teaching them woodcut techniques at the so here you can see some examples. This is the representation of Chantilly done by Karpelès during her stay. So, alongside Nandala Bosch, she created an art association for women from the villages near the university, and they taught and documented traditional craft techniques, much like répertoire. And with Pratima Devi, she founded the Bishitra craft, and with Nandala Bosch also. Craft center where they developed the teaching of popular craft techniques and taught batik and bookbinding skills that were later helped the publishing department of Vishwabharati. So this initiative is at the beginning of the creation of the Silpa Sadhan in Sri Niketan, and Rabindranath Tagore, in fact, he wrote a song for her when she left that called, translated in English, "Let the cup of farewell remain filled with the nectar of memories," and in the original, it's sorry. It's Bharatak Shmirti Shude. Sorry for the, but maybe some of you know this song. So although brief, Karpelès' time at Chantilly had a lasting impact on her artistic approach. While sharing her knowledge, she also learned from interaction with students and fellow teachers. So. Rabindranath Tagore was deeply committed to reviving and reinterpreting Bengali artistic and oral traditions, and his work aimed to connect local heritage with the new artistic expression, contributing to the formation of the modern Indian identity. And Karpelès herself later became interested in international popular tradition and heritage, reflecting a broader engagement with the transmission and evolution of cultural expression across region. So after her stay in Chantilly-Niketan, she focused on studying both Indian and international traditional art and craft, incorporating themes from oral and craft tradition into her work, and mainly into her engraving work. So here, for example, the Rabindranath Tagore's text, the Halpanaz, that was translated into French by Karpelès, and the draft of the preparation work provide insight from their collaboration. And yes. And the preparatory, yes, you can see the preparatory studies for the book were annotated by Karpelès, and she named the Rabindranath. So this is the final version, and this is the draft with the title that Karpelès wrote. So this is at Graz Municipal Archive. So if you take pictures, there's a copyright on those documents. So Karpelès and Rabindranath Tagore shared interest in traditional practice, and this resurfaced in 1939 with the book Ronde des Berceuses, which features Tagore's children's text, the international lullabies, and traditional songs that were gathered by Karpelès around the world. So she asked her friends that were for business to send to her some lullabies. And so she illustrated the book using traditional motifs from the lullabies origins. So this, here you can see an example. This is the matrice, and this is the wicket. And so, yes, this work stands out in the history of the publication, the Chitra publication, because it is the only publication done by the house to include motifs from outside South India. So in the introduction, Karpelès and Karlogman emphasized the importance of traditionals, visual art and oral tradition, and alongside Tagore's lullabies, the book presents children's songs from countries such as France, Sweden, Uganda, Russia, Greenland, or Peru. And later, Karpelès continued to explore cultural tradition in a later work, publishing tales, poems, legend, and also texts by the Tagore family, mainly Rabindranath and Tagore. And by doing that, she was positioning her publishing house as a bridge between Indian oral and visual heritage and Indian modernity to reach French-speaking audience. And she was one of the one of the only translator of Rabindranath Tagore, not Rabindranath because not so much. So yes, in conclusion, the artistic dialogue between the Tagore family and Andrée Karpelès has played a significant role in the visibility of the Bengale school within the French cultural landscape, even though its exposure outside India remains relatively confidential. So as a key translator and publisher of this school, Karpelès served as a bridge for an Indian Renaissance. She called this article Renaissance on the French artistic and literary scene. And so in return, these exchanges influenced creative practice, and the Tagore and the Bengale school painters remain key reference figure for her. And like them, she worked to promote the oral and visual tradition of Indian art and culture. So she was doing that just for French audiences. So through this, she became, like I said, a true mediator of cultural exchanges between French and India. So that's it. So thank you for your time and attention. And yes.